Yep. Hello and welcome back to Slot Rods. Today we're just going to go over the track again. I've had a couple comments ask me to go over the track in a little bit more detail, so that's what we're going to do for this episode. And we might as well start right with the main straight. One of the first things you'll notice is this crash barrier. This came off of Thingsverse. I'll see if I can add some links to the stuff I've made as we go, in the comment section. It's very flexible, as you can see. It deals with the bends quite nicely. There's little clips that also print out that slip into the bottom of this and then anchor up underneath the track, and it does quite well. I've been using as you can see, a multicolored printing, and then I used a metallic silvery filament for the fencing. I mean, I could have painted it, but that filament looks pretty metallic as well. This is the start of my pit lane. As you can see, I have a dual pit lane. It allows the cars to alternate as you come into the pit lane. Basically what I did was I bought 2 sets of Carrera pit lanes. So I had 2 entrance and 2 exits and 2 fueling sections. Then I bought a piece, it was a dual lane change from the, the Evolution Pro X series of Carrera track. It's no longer produced. You have to get it on eBay. I bought a dual lane changer just so I had a spare switch. So how this works is, when your car comes in, you're using the first piece of the pit lane entry. So you use your lane change to enter the pit lane. So then we come into the second one, which has been modified. I've taken out the sensor here and moved it back to this location. When the cars come in, it will automatically change their lanes. There's a clip here. When the car passes, it will automatically switch it back. When the car comes here and passes this sensor, it'll switch it again. So you don't have cars slamming into each other on the pit lane. They will alternate their way into the lane, and you don't have any pileups or anybody getting in the way. It's not that difficult of a procedure. You can find people online. There's several YouTube videos that cover it. It's just you're swapping out the controller, the lane change controller, into the piece from the, well, you're swapping out the actuators from the Pro X double lane change into this. So, you know, as you see, the car comes in, and it goes like that. The next car comes in. As it rolls over, it automatically switches it. So the cars will continually alternate their runs into the pit lane. Beyond that, I added some extra pieces here with the car grids on them. I could have painted some more, but I got some in a used track deal, so that came out quite nicely. The barrier between the straightaway and the pits is something I created in Blender and then printed out. There's basically just 3 pieces. The end cap pieces with the tapered cut, then there's the regular length piece, and then there's a short piece over here. Where is it? Oh, it's right in here. Just a short half section I used to get the gap distance just right for the pit lane. In between, they're held by a little disc of plastic that slides into each piece and holds it all together. And as you can see, in the middle of each section there is a hole that goes all the way through So in the future, if I want to put light poles down the pit lane to illuminate both sides, I'll print out a piece that will sit on top of here. The light pole will sit in that, and then the wires can run down through and underneath to whatever I'm connecting it to. The next thing I built was the pit lane garages. They are deep enough for a full car. I also made opening and closable doors, but they break off easy because the pin, as you can see, I made little pinholes. And then there's a pin on the inside, and it was supposed to pivot off that, but it's just not strong enough, and they break real easy. But I can always think of something new to do for that. I can always just make a hole and then put a metal pin in. The roof is from the other garage I found on Thingiverse, and I just edited the file and made the roof fit what I wanted it to do. This is not a very technical garage. I just wanted something to start with, and then I would, deal with something later. So it's just serving its purpose for now until if I ever get to the point where I build a bigger track, I may do something different with the pit lane garage. Maybe magnetic racing makes some really pretty pit buildings, so who knows. I may print something out, or I may buy a kit and build it, but either way. Here is the start light. This is just the regular Carrera start light, but I don't like how I would have to cut some of the side pieces to make this look good. It doesn't look good like that. I do have one. I bought one for magnetic racing when things were on sale. I bought a bunch of stuff just to build later. They have a start light gantry. It is a full 4-lane width gantry. I could also use it just to make it a half gantry where it would just come up on the left side and cross over and then leave that open. But it has pre-drilled spots for your lights. What I would eventually do is buy a second one of these and cannibalize it, just so I don't screw up one while I'm working on it. Put the lights in it, and then I can use the LED illumination here for some downlighting, and that would be my new start gantry. But yes, an integral part of a good race course. The 3 driver pods. Then we go back to more of the crash barrier, which, as you can see, this one, the red, white, and red is a lot more even than the last one. That's just because the other one was the first time I printed it out, and I didn't think about the thickness of the track. So when I printed this side out, I adjusted for that to get the red and white red balance a little bit better, and that came out just about perfect. Really pleased with it, and I love how this works with the flexible fencing on top. Just a really good barrier. I also made these little braking distance signs. They're nothing special. They're very simple. The post, there's just 3 pieces. The bottom piece, the upright, and then the white sign. The numbers it's just a 2-color print. So very simple to do, nothing big. Then we get down to the first corner, which is the worst corner on the track because you pick up all that speed on the straight and then have the tightest turn to the right that there can be. We do have a outside in lane change, and this is the first of the lane gates. Basically, you create a dead zone here, taking out a piece of one of the extenders for the power to go from track to track. Creates a detection zone. So you modify the track, and you can. There's a little LED right there. I'll turn the track on so you can see it. So you can see how that's green right there. The gates are about $20 a piece or whatever, and you're basically just replacing the chip inside. And how this works is when, we'll say, a car is coming on the inside, you see how that light goes out? It's in the detection zone here. As soon as it hits that detection zone, the light goes out, which means the gate does not work. So any car coming through here, at this point, this car cannot change lanes, and that will keep crashes from happening. This is really important when you have ghost cars, because they will change lanes whenever they want, and then you end up with really bad crashes, and there's no reason for that, especially when you have nice cars and you don't want to see them all beat to heck. So while it's in that detection zone, that will not allow you to change lanes. And as you can see, if you can watch the color, the whole time that car is in here, that will not allow you to change lanes. And then you get up to about here, you get past that, you get past that, you can see where the car is now, and it will now finally let you, his car is far enough ahead that you can now change lanes again. So the lane gates are really cool. It takes maybe, I don't know, just taking the panels apart and doing the work, maybe 20-30 minutes to put one in. It's not that difficult, and I think it really adds a lot to the track, especially saving you from crashes all the time. We get into that first corner, so we've got a bunch of more things here to look at. These are the car stands I designed in Blender. Nothing special. If anybody wants them, I can put files up. These are also the test cars I use for strapping the run cam to when I'm doing on the track footage. I'm currently using a run cam orange. Was it 5? Run cam 5 orange or something. It works okay. There's another one out there. I forget the name of it now. I have to look. It's about the same size as the run cam, but it shoots. It'll shoot in 4K 60. The run cam 5, for what I'm trying to do, the best resolution I can get out of it is 1440, which is significantly lower than my other cameras. So when I have to do video with that, I have to reduce everything else. So I'd like to get a camera with a much higher resolution and frame rate. The next thing we have here is the track cleaner, and I forget the name of this. There it is. Track Pro Contour 2. I love it. I actually do. This thing works really great. Oh, I probably didn't have the camera on that yet. Track Pro Contour 2. It comes with cleaning pads. Then I ended up buying a Swiffer, just a bunch of Swiffer pads. These right here. And then I just cut a bunch of them to fit the cleaner. And then I just drive a car around it, push it around with a car, and it really cleans the track well. And especially at this house, I'm doing a lot of renovation. It's on the floor and my little dog, so there's just dust and dog hair and everything on this track all the time. So I vacuum it when I can, but usually before I do any kind of running, I'll put one of these pads on and drive it around. It's got Velcro on the bottom, so the pads stick pretty good. The cars push it real easy, and it does a really nice job of cleaning the track. I highly recommend that, or making something of your own But definitely something like that to clean your track. Here I have my old barrier system. I'm kind of replacing that. I've got more of the Joust Speed track barrier to install. I'm not sure if I'm going to mess with this one yet, because the stuff that's close to the couch, I've stepped on some of this stuff by accident and breaking it, and I don't want to break that other stuff. So for now, this may just stay. The next thing we have is, this is from SLOT.IT, the same people I get my decoder chips from. This is their speedometer. And it is embedded in this section of track here. You can see 4 sensors, and then there's another sensor down in the track. So when the car goes over it, it tells you how fast it's going. You can use it, it goes either way, so it doesn't matter. I have it on this side of the track. If you want it down here, you just flip it around. So it doesn't matter which way the car is going, it's going to read that speed. These are some other car lifts. This I got on Thingiverse as well. It's a bunch of different pieces, and you put it together and you can slide the things up and down and on, and the arms articulate, but you got to be careful with them. Sometimes they can get real loose. So this is, I like it. Sometimes they can get real loose and the car's just, yeah, be careful with it. Sometimes it works well, sometimes it's a little but they do look cool. This is also where I have my tests for the lights I've got on eBay. These are 20 centimeter light poles. They are, they're not bright white. They're about 3,000 Kelvin, 3,500 Kelvin. I kind of like that warm white look. They run around 3 volts. I have them on a buck and a breakout box that distributes an even 3 volts. One day I will hopefully have lights all over the track when I have a bigger place, and I've got this mounted on a board and it's all landscaped and it'll look nice. But for now, I just threw them here to test them. And my 3D printing for the light bases and hooking them to the track, which now that I'm using the new crash barrier, I'm gonna have to figure out something else for that. This is the gantry from Magnetic Racing. This is a kit, laser cut. They go together really easy, really fast. The directions are online. Just paint them and go. And I've got 2 of the half gantries and a bunch of other stuff. I highly recommend their products. Then we get into the first 180-degree tight turn. This is where I have the first section of that Joust Speed crash barrier, which goes on up underneath the track and then goes ahead and curves around. And then there's a piece on the inside as well. I love that stuff. It's really flexible. And I have the advertisement media printed out and glued, or not glued, but taped to the back side. It's easy. It's just, I just run tape across the back, so it gives it that glossy look, and it also keeps it from getting torn up. One of the next things I have here is also, well, the dog wants to yell, so we'll wait till she stops and then we'll start again. Okay, so now that she's decided to stop screaming, we'll look at the track risers. These came off of Thingiverse as well. Well, partially. I found something online that was close to what I wanted to, but it wasn't the right size, so I had to change dimensions, enlarge it, and do a lot of other things to get this to function the way I want. Those are the 2 pieces. These do take a while to print out. but it's very well worth it. I have these notches in the top, so if I want to have a wider support, I can print out a print out something, or I can get some wood to put in there and to create a support brace if needed. If not, then I don't. But this allows me to quickly and easily adjust the height rather than trying to stack stuff underneath it, and it just can be a mess. So I just get it to where I want it and then adjust till the support's where I want it. If anybody wants those files, I can make them available too. I'll see what I can do about making a lot of these files available. The next thing for display is the shell billboard. This is illuminated. It's been lit up in some of my previous videos. The kits are, I don't know, about $30, $40 a piece. Because of the illumination and the control. There's a little control board here, and then batteries, which I think it's about 4 volts. So you can cut that off and tie everything into a continuous 4-volt power supply. Easy to put together. They look awesome. Again, highly recommend them. So let's go through the next curve. So we come around to the second short straight, and what we can see here is the first of the segment counters. I have 2 of these on the track, so the track is broken into 3 segments, and so I get times for each segment. So you'll see the different, when I show it up on screen, when I'm doing the lapping, you'll see the different segment times. So that's the first one of that. Then we move into a dead section that is part of the lane gate for the first double lane change. This is where I keep my wireless controllers, which I have found they interfere with the wireless signal for the Frankenslot controller. And as I was messing with it, I realized when I got, about 5-6 feet away from the wireless receiver, the car started dropping out, and I couldn't figure out why. And it turns out it's the wireless signal from these while they're on the cradle. If I took them off the cradle, everything's fine. So keep that in mind. I don't think you can run them together. So you'll either have to not use the wireless controllers, or just get all Frankenslot wireless, which I don't mind doing, but that's making a lot more of a financial investment because those Frankenslot ones are not cheap. Next part is the other garage, the 2-story garage. It's really cool. It's on Thingiverse. I printed out the advertisement stuff on the front myself. I just changed them to be what I wanted to. I like the design. Even Magnetic Racing has some really cool pit lane buildings. I haven't decided if I'm going to go with that or if I'm going just to 3D design another one. Eventually, I'd like to make some track that is powered, where the cars can be in the garages, garage doors can be opened, and then the cars can drive out onto a service track that then enters the race course. But that's one day in a very distant future, most likely. Then we come into the first little S-turn, little quick turn, another illuminated billboard, and the Heineken half gantry, both again by Magnetic Racing. They're out of the UK. The nice thing about their stuff always gets here really fast. I don't know what kind of deal they have, but when I buy stuff from them, it comes real quick. So I've been real pleased with it. Some more of the billboards, or not the billboards, but the crash barrier. And we come into another 180-degree turn. We start in with another lane change, which is an inside out, and that also has a lane gate. And another big section of crash barrier. And then up again underneath. And then over to where we're eventually going to have our first change in elevation. Here is another, this was off of Thingiverse as well. I 3D printed that. That took a while to build because each little step has to be glued in. It was a little challenging build, as well as I think the original was built for was made for Scalextric track, and I used the different files to do for Carrera, so it won't work with the edging on it, but it'll handle at least it'll handle the regular Scalextric track. Never painted it, but it looks neat, so maybe one day I will paint it. But we also have another lane gate and the second dual lane change, and then we get into the first change in elevation. And this is not just regular track, this is the bridge track. So there's a convex and the opposite of convex bend leading up to another 180-degree turn. So yeah, those are bent track. It's not straight. It just makes for a quicker translation to elevation than you would normally go with a straight track, trying not to cause derailment, or just you just need more track to get that kind of an elevation without using the bridge pieces. So the old ones I think were 2 pieces. The new bridge sections are 4, so this is 2 of the 4. So this starts it, and then we get up to the top. Here I have the old guardrail, which I'll probably replace. And we come into the second of the stages. So here's another sensor for that. Then we come around to the S turn with some more of the lovely track barrier. And here you will see the last of the lane changes, which is an inside out with another lane gate. And I missed this here, so we'll just jump back to this. There's another illuminated sign from Magnetic Racing, and this is the Dunlop bridge. This also came from Thingiverse. It's fully 3D printed. The white is hand painted because I couldn't figure out how to do two-tone printing on that one, just because it's the whole shape and everything. The internal part, the silver and yellow, is one piece. It was just printed with yellow, and then I switched over to that metallic silver filament to print that. This was took a long time to print all this out. The tires are 4 sections on each side, and printing all that out took about 2 days to print all this stuff, 2 or 3 days. So it took a while, but it came out really pretty, and as you can see, it fits perfectly with the track and the side piece, the edge pieces. So it fits that perfectly and it looks really, really good. So, all right, now we come back to this S-turn and the elevation change again. And this is where we come down from the elevation using the second half of the bridge pieces. So you can see how they're, you can see a little bit better about how they're curved. So it's, we're going from the second elevation back to ground elevation in just 2 track lengths. So it comes down rather quick. Every once in a while you'll hear a car scrape, and it's usually when they have the chassis is a little bit lengthened behind the rear wheels. You'll hear that piece scrape a bit, but I haven't had any problems with it. And it makes doing the elevation work so much easier, and it looks so much better. It really does. It looks really good. It handles really well. We're really pleased with it. And then we get into the final turn, which this is a, I believe it's, I think it's the C4. Could be the C3. But then to make everything line up, I had to use a quarter and a third piece, so it all lined up. And the last of the billboards, and you can see some of the stuff where I've stepped on the guardrail and broke it. Then we come back here. So we come around this big turn, which you can really, for most of the cars, you can really get wide open on it. You can really open it up and hit the straight full speed. Some cars you have to be careful with. Most of them can handle it. The other ones you just wait till they're about halfway around the curve before you jump on the full throttle. And apparently my dog wants to come visit. Come on, get out of the way. Come on. Good girl. So as we exit the big turn, this is where you enter the pits. I also have this off of the Thingiverse. This little pit lane sign. I haven't done anything with it. I just built it and put it up there. Eventually I'll probably put a sign there. I don't know. I'm also coming back to show the new crash barrier I installed since I did the initial filming for the track layout. So it's all of that jaw speed crash barrier. Looks a lot better, I think, anyway. So I also want to talk about power taps because they're important, especially when you start getting into bigger track runs. You want to make sure you have continuous power all the way around the track. That way the cars maintain their performance. Also with the lane gates, because you create these dead zones where you're not allowing power to pass through in certain sections. The power taps allow you to continuate that power on the other side of the lane change. And that's very important for if you are going to use these the lane gates. So on this 20-meter track, I have 4. You have your original out of the base, and then I have the power tap starting here. I have a power tap over here. I have another power tap down here, and another one right there, and then a final one on the back side of the downslope. So there are 4 sections where I have power tapping the track to make sure I have continuous power between all the lane gates and the last section of track. Now, as far as designing the track itself, I used a program called Auto Rinbahn Planner. I think it was like 25 bucks or such, but I found it highly worth it. It has all the track pieces in it. You can set up your room in another screen, which I measured my floor space here, blocked that out, and then I just messed around with designs for a long time, and I put them out and try them. It has all, like I said, it has all the track pieces in the software, including the shoulders and whatnot, and you can lay it all out, make sure everything aligns. Because these are not flexible pieces, you kind of have to have it so everything aligns closely from start to finish. It never really lines up exactly, but the closer you get it, the better. And then it can tell you how long your track is, and it will tell you exactly what pieces you need. There goes my dog. So you can lay it out just the way you want it, and you'll know exactly how many pieces you need and of what type, and then you can put it all together. So I think that's a very valuable piece of software, and makes laying things out and setting it all up far easier than without it. So yeah, I really highly recommend that. Well, that's it. That's the track. Hope you like it. If you have any questions, post them in the comments below. And that'll do it for this episode. Thanks for watching.